Previously on Avatar: The Last Airbender, Book 2 Earth. We follow Aang and his companions, Katara and Sokka, continue their quest to master the elements to stop the Fire Nation's aggression. The group faces new obstacles in their search for an earthbending teacher, ultimately finding the formidable Toph Beifong, who becomes Aang's mentor. Meanwhile, Prince Zuko embarks on a journey of his own, where he frees himself from all the burdens, but ultimately decides to betray Iroh and accompanies his cunning sister Azula, intensifying his pursuit of the Avatar. The Earth Kingdom becomes a central battleground as the gang confronts the harsh realities of war. The season climaxes with Aang getting seriously injured, and the Fire Nation take over the city of Ba Sing Se. In this video I will be talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender, Book 3 Fire, from start to finish, in detail. A weakened Aang wakes up covered in bandages, his head full of hair, and his friends in Fire Nation uniform as they travel on a stolen Fire Nation ship. He discovers that the world believes he is dead, just like they did in Book 1 Water, when he was frozen in ice for a century. Sokka believes that they should keep Aang a secret as long as possible. It implies that the Fire Nation will no longer be chasing Team Avatar and that they won't be expecting Aang at the invasion. Meanwhile at the Fire Nation, Zuko and Azula are welcomed home as heroes. Zuko meets his father Fire Lord Ozai, who praises him for killing the Avatar and helping Azula take over Ba Sing Se. Zuko recognizes that Azula had an ulterior motive in crediting him for killing the Avatar. Aang believes that him being dead might be bad for the world, so he decides to travel to the Fire Nation by himself, and reaches Avatar Roku's island, but his friends find him. He accepts that keeping himself hidden might be their greatest advantage, and leaves his air glider, which is a part of an airbender's identity. While secretly traveling in the Fire Nation, the gang decides to hide inside a cave. They steal some Fire Nation clothes, so they can camouflage themselves with others. Aang is accidentally taken to a Fire Nation school because he was wearing a school uniform. While in school he learns that the students don't know anything about dancing, and all the teachers forbid it. So Aang decides to throw a dance party to show how it feels to be free. While everyone starts to enjoy and dance, the principal shows up and tries to catch Aang, but he and his friends escape. Meanwhile, Zuko is unable to sleep, so he goes to the Fire Nation prison to meet his uncle, Iroh. Zuko tells Iroh that he believes the Avatar is alive, and wants him to give him some advice. However, Iroh turns away and doesn't utter a word because he is upset with the path that Zuko has decided to follow. Zuko hires an assassin to eliminate Aang. Fire Lord Ozai sends Azula and Zuko on a vacation to Ember Island. They are joined by Mai and Ty Lee. They all go to a party as no one recognizes them. Zuko, who is in a relationship with Mai, sees a boy talking to Mai and gets angry and beats him up, and leaves the party. Later, around a campfire all of them reveal their insecurities. Zuko discloses that he should be happy because he got what he wanted, but he is angry and hates himself because he can't seem to differentiate between right and wrong. On the other hand, Zuko's assassin reaches Aang. He attacks the gang by using some weird firebending, creating explosions with his third eye. Aang manages to distract him, allowing his friends to get on Appa, and even grab Aang before escaping. Back at the Fire Nation prison, Iroh is training his body through exercising day in and day out in secret. He pretends to act stupid, childish, and weak whenever the guard shows up, but he is in the best shape of his life. Aang and Zuko learn about the close childhood friendship shared by Avatar Roku and Fire Lord Sozin. Roku embarked on a journey and became the Avatar by mastering all 4 elements. Meanwhile, Sozin became the Fire Lord. Sozin suggested Roku that they should expand the Fire Nation and take control of the world, but he refused. After a few years, Fire Lord Sozin took over an Earth Kingdom, so Avatar Roku faced him in battle and defeated him, and threatened him to stop or he will have to kill him. After a few more years, at Avatar Roku's island a volcano erupted and poisonous gases leaked out. Sozin sees this and decides to come and help his friend. When they both try to escape, Roku is hit by the gas and Sozin leaves him to die because he believed he can rule the world without Roku. Roku died and was reincarnated as Aang. Sozin knew that the next Avatar will be an airbender, so he launched an attack against the air temples, but couldn't find Aang. Zuko reaches the prison to talk to Iroh, and he tells him that he is the great-grandson of both Roku and Sozin, and he alone is capable of resolving the endless conflict and restore peace back to the world. The gang decides to rest at a town but don't have enough money to buy food, so Toph, Aang, and Sokka decide to scam some street scammers by using earthbending. Katara disapproves of this scamming and asks them to never to do it again. However, the rest of them are having fun doing scams, so they decide to continue their scams to earn more and more money. Katara gets angry and confronts Toph after finding her wanted poster. Toph screams at her for acting like the boss and mother of the group. To patch things up, Katara asks Toph to pull off one last scam. Katara allows Toph to get captured so she can get the reward, but both of them are captured by Zuko's assassin, Combustion Man. Aang and Sokka are attacked by Combustion Man, while Katara uses her sweat to waterbend and get out of the wooden prison. Combustion Man almost kills Aang, but Katara arrives just in time to save him and they all escape. The gang meet an elderly innkeeper named Hama, who takes the gang into a town and lets them stay at her place. She reveals that she is a waterbender from the Southern Water Tribe. She was captured during one of the Fire Nation raids. She teaches Katara more about waterbending and their potentials. At night, during the full moon, waterbenders are at their strongest, and Hama tells Katara about bloodbending and how she used it on a Fire Nation guard to escape prison. Just like metal bending, which is a sub-bending of earth bending, bloodbending is a sub-bending of waterbending. Katara realizes that people in this town have been disappearing during the full moon and it's Hama who is doing this. Katara tries to stop her, but she uses bloodbending on her, but realizes that it won't work because she is also at her strongest because of the moon. Aang and Sokka show up and try to help Katara, but Hama takes control of their bodies and forces them to attack each other, but Katara uses bloodbending on Hama and stops her. The villagers come and arrest Hama, but Katara feels horrified and sad because of what she is able to do. 4 days remain until the invasion, and Aang is starting to get anxious about facing the Fire Lord because he feels unprepared. He trains non-stop and doesn't get any sleep, which makes him have weird nightmares. It takes the combined efforts of Sokka, Toph, and Katara to persuade him to sleep. Meanwhile, Zuko is content with his lavish lifestyle in the palace and his time with Mai, but he worries when he finds out that Azula has been invited to a war meeting while he is not. In the end, Zuko is asked to come to attend a meeting and sit at his father's right hand, but he later admits to Mai that he didn't feel like himself even after his father accepted him. The day of Black Sun / the invasion has arrived. Everyone from the Southern Water Tribe fleet and many allies who we have met in previous books reunite with Team Avatar like Swamp Monster, Haru, Boulder, and the Mechanist from the Northern Air Temple. They launch a planned invasion of the Fire Nation, led by Hakoda using submarines. Aang finally tells Katara about his strong feelings for her, worried that he may not return. The invasion forces successfully bypass multiple layers of Fire Nation defenses and infiltrate the capital, where they launch a grueling assault towards the palace while under constant fire from Fire Nation forces. They rely on a variety of bending and aquatic vehicles that Sokka designed, the machinist engineered and built, and propelled by earthbending. When Aang arrives at the Fire Lord's palace, he discovers that nobody is there. As the eclipse begins, Aang returns and takes Sokka and Toph with him to find the Fire Lord, who might be hiding underground. They go deep underground and find themselves in front of a metal bunker. They only find Azula, who with the help of Dai Li manages to evade the gang and their attacks. Elsewhere, Zuko confronts his father after finally realizing Ozai's treatment towards him was cruel. He tells Ozai that Fire Nation is not spreading greatness but only fear and hatred, so he has decided to join the Avatar. As he begins to leave, Ozai reveals that Zuko's mother was banished after she assassinated Fire Lord Azulon, to help Ozai take over the throne, in order to spare Zuko's life. The eclipse ends and Fire Lord strikes. However, Zuko redirects his lightning using the technique that Iroh taught him, and leaves. Azula attacks the gang and runs away. Aang decides to return and help the invasion forces escape. Zuko goes to the Fire Nation prison to free Iroh, only to find out he has already escaped. Fire Nation moved towards the beach to destroy the submarines, so the invasion forces decide to surrender and get captured, while Aang and some of the allies flee on Appa, and Zuko pursues them in a stolen Fire Nation balloon. The gang takes refuge at the Western Air Temple, where they encounter Zuko. Zuko seeks to join the group, explaining his change of heart and desire to help Aang learn firebending and defeat the Fire Nation. The gang doesn't trust him, so they send him away. Combustion Man shows up and starts attacking Aang. Zuko appears and tries to stop him from hunting the Avatar, but he doesn't listen and attacks Zuko. He continues his relentless assault, trying to destroy the whole temple, but Sokka uses his boomerang and hits his head, making him dizzy. He still tries to attack, but his technique explodes in his face. Zuko again tries to convince the gang that he is on the good side and wants to play his part in bringing balance and peace back to the world. Aang accepts him as his firebending teacher and the fifth member of the team. However, Katara continues to be skeptical of Zuko's sincere changes, and threatens to kill him at the slightest sign of treachery. Zuko attempts to teach Aang how to firebend, but he is no longer able to bend because his former focus on firebending, rage, has left him weak. Toph advises them to take a cue from the powerful dragons, who invented firebending. The final dragon was purportedly slain by Iroh a long time ago, although Zuko mentions that the dragons initially taught their wisdom to the Sun Warriors, an extinct race that served as the foundation for the Fire Nation. When Zuko and Aang visit the Sun Warrior civilization's ruins, they find that a tribe of the legendary people still survives. The two carry a sacred torch up the mountain to see the Masters, who are actually two dragons that have survived. They perform the dragon dance, a sequence of fire-bending forms engraved in the ruins. The dragons breathe out fire and explain that firebending's true nature is source of life, not destruction. The Sun Warriors reveal that Iroh lied about dragons' extinction to protect them. Zuko and Aang try to firebend, and this time their improvement is evident. Sokka devises a plan to find his father, who might be imprisoned at the Boiling Rock, a high-security Fire Nation prison. Zuko and Sokka infiltrate the prison using the war balloon. They disguise themselves as guards and find out there are no war prisoners, but Sokka sees Suki. While trying to help Sokka meet Suki, Zuko gets captured by the warden, who is Mei's uncle. They all devise a plan to escape using the coolers, but a prisoner named Chit Sang hears about their plan and blackmails them to let him join. As they are nearing escape, Zuko and Sokka learn about new batch of war prisoners' arrival, and Hakoda is one of them. Sokka decides to stay, so Zuko and Suki join him, while Chit Sang and his friends leave. However, they make a mistake of screaming when touched by the boiling water, which leads to their capture. Sokka meets Hakoda and decides to make a different plan to escape. While Mei shows up to the prison and asks Zuko why he left her. Zuko explains that he is trying to save the Fire Nation by choosing good. Azula and Ty Lee come to the prison to take Zuko, but Chit Sang starts a riot and distracts all the guards. Zuko uses this opportunity to escape and locks Mei in the prison. All of them come together and take the warden hostage, then escape on the gondola. Azula and Ty Lee follow them, and a battle takes place on top of the gondola. The guards try to stop the gondola, and even try to cut the line after the warden orders them. Azula and Ty Lee hop off to the other gondola. When all hope seems lost, Mei appears and fights the guards and stops them from cutting the line, allowing Zuko and the others to escape. Azula is furious with Mei for betraying her, but Mei proclaims she loves Zuko more than she fears Azula, which enrages Azula even more. Ty Lee stops Azula from attacking by blocking her chi, and both Mei and Ty Lee get imprisoned. The gang uses Fire Nation's airship to go back home, and everyone meets everyone. Azula arrives at the Western Air Temple with her force and attacks the gang. Zuko decides to face her, while the other decide to separate because Appa didn't want to escape using the tunnel. An intense battle of fire bending takes place between Zuko and Azula. The battle ends with both falling down. The gang grabs Zuko while Azula also manages to break her fall. Everyone thanks Zuko for helping them escape, but Katara still doesn't trust him. Zuko confronts Katara about her distrust of him and tries to gain her friendship. She reminds him how she trusted him in Ba Sing Se and he betrayed her. She gets furious and tells him to fix what happened in Ba Sing Se, or bring her mother back. Sokka tells Zuko about the flag of the ship that attacked their village. Zuko decides to help Katara find the soldiers who killed her mother. Katara decides to leave with Zuko, but Aang tries to warn her that revenge is not the answer. He went through the same feelings when Appa was captured and when he found out his mentor, Monk Gyatso, was killed. Katara tells Zuko about the day of the Fire Nation's raid, and she knows the man who killed her mother. They attack the ship and reach the commander, but Katara realizes that he is not the guy. They eventually find a retired soldier, Yan Ra, who reveals that they wanted to kill the last waterbender, and Katara's mother lied to protect her. Despite the anger and wanting to seek revenge, Katara isn't able to kill him, and leaves with Zuko, and eventually decides to forgive him. The gang reveals that since the Fire Nation has basically won the war by taking over Ba Sing Se, Aang has decided to fight the Fire Lord after the comet passes away. Zuko dismisses this plan by revealing that Ozai intends to use the comet to eradicate the entire Earth Kingdom, just like how Fire Lord Sozin did with the air nomads and their temples. The gang starts training to face the Fire Lord, while Aang struggles with his responsibilities because he doesn't want to kill Fire Lord Ozai. Everyone believes he should be killed, but Aang wants to stick to his air nomad heritage's pacifist beliefs. A mysterious island appears in the ocean and Aang sleepwalks all the way to the island. Next day his friends fly to the Earth Kingdom and find June, a bounty hunter, to locate Aang. Back at the Fire Nation, Ozai decides to give Azula the throne of the Fire Nation and proclaims himself as the Phoenix King, ruler of the whole world. Meanwhile, Aang wakes up on the mysterious island, which is in the middle of the ocean. On the mysterious island, Aang asks his former incarnations for assistance and guidance to deal with Fire Lord Ozai, but they all suggest he should kill Ozai. Aang realizes that the island is moving, and finds out that it's actually a lion turtle, who teaches Aang the ancient and forgotten art, energy bending. Energy bending is the ability to bend another person's life energy. Meanwhile, June tries to use her pet mole to sniff out Aang, but fails, so Zuko decides to find his uncle. The gang meets the Order of the White Lotus, a group led by Iroh. This group has a lot of people who we have met before, like Zhong Zhong, Master Pakku, and King Bumi. Zuko asks forgiveness and reunites with his uncle. The team decides to split up. Zuko and Katara go to the Fire Nation to face Azula. The Order of the White Lotus will take over Ba Sing Se, and the rest of them go to stop the airships led by the Phoenix King Ozai, as the Sozin's comet arrives. As Azula's coronation as Fire Lord approaches, she starts firing everyone for small mistakes. Her mental stability begins to degenerate because she is unable to trust anyone. Zuko and Katara disrupt the ceremony, and Azula challenges Zuko to an Agni Kai. The battle between the siblings begins for the throne. Meanwhile, Sokka and friends jump onto one of the airships, and hijack it by defeating the firebenders and taking control of the airship. They decide to use the boomerang method to destroy all the airships. While running into the airship, Suki gets separated, but eventually comes to the rescue when Sokka and Toph are in trouble. Aang is waiting for Ozai and starts attacking him, and the battle between the Avatar Aang and the Phoenix King Ozai begins. Aang tries to only defend and not land a deadly blow because he is unwilling to take Fire Lord Ozai's life. Ozai continues his relentless attacks, overpowering Aang. Aang does get a chance to redirect lightning, but he chooses against it. At Ba Sing Se, the Order of the White Lotus begin their assault, and start taking out the Fire Nation machines. Meanwhile, at the Fire Nation, Zuko and Azula continue their relentless attacks, but you could see Azula getting tired and Zuko gaining the upper hand. Azula uses lightning and attacks Katara, but Zuko gets in the way and suffers a major injury. On the other hand, Ozai starts gaining the upper hand, and Aang gets scared and hides inside an earth ball. Ozai starts displaying his firebending by continuously attacking Aang, to force him out of hiding, but he accidentally unlocks Aang's chakra, causing him to enter the Avatar state. Aang shows the true power of the Avatar by attacking Ozai with all four elements, and he starts running away. Back at the Fire Nation, Azula continuously uses lightning to attack Katara. However, she manages to outsmart Azula by turning water into ice. trapping her and chaining her down. In the Avatar state, Aang continues his relentless attacks and easily defeats Ozai, but he still chooses not to kill him. Ozai tries to attack him, but Aang with calm and coolness ties him to the ground. He tries to bend the energy within Ozai by unbending himself, and eventually taking away Ozai's firebending forever. He kept his true beliefs alive by defeating Phoenix King Ozai without taking his life. After the war ends, Zuko is appointed as the new Fire Lord, and everyone starts celebrating. Aang and Katara express their love for each other as the series comes to a close. If you liked this recap, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Marvel Toons, as there's more to come your way.